In the workshop, a random assortment of old model steam engines. This is part one. These were left with me quite a few years ago. I give a detailed verbal report on the condition of each of the engines. My friend James Evans came down to see me, so I thought I'll put him to good use, writing down what I had to say about each engine. Engine number one, a large horizontal model steam engine, which is a collection of mainly loose parts. To me, this looks like an apprentice piece from many years ago. It's on an extremely solid cast iron base. When I first looked at this engine with a view to repairing it, and like all of the other engines you're about to see, these were for a potential museum project. Initially, it looked okay. I could see there was a drain cock missing. Then as I looked a little further, particularly at the flywheel that is not even part of this engine, it was obviously just put on there to make it look good. Likewise, the pulley at the other side isn't part of this engine either. I could fix this, but the job would take too long to make it viable. Moving on now to engine number two, which like the first one was bought online. It's a large horizontal twin-cylinder model steam engine, which is not in very good mechanical condition. It does run on compressed air, but the main bearings are shot. It was pointless trying to run the first engine, but this one is more complete, so I'm going to see whether it works. First of all, applying a generous amount of oil to every moving part. I then connect the airline and turn the air on. Yes, it runs, but not very well. There's a major problem with one of the main bearings. I can see that at least one of the crosshead guides is loose, and I can also see a washer between the guide assembly and the mounting. To hazard a guess, I think that this main bearing is fitted the wrong way round. The gap between the two halves should be horizontal, not vertical. This engine requires a complete rebuild, and that would take some time. The problem is, the base is a modern item, although most of the parts do look old. Unlike my friend James, who's only 16 and currently writing down the descriptions as he pulls each engine out of the box. This is the first box of two, and we're on engine number 3 already. This is a horizontal single-cylinder model steam engine on an aluminium base with a gas burner. James has just got the engine out of the box, and at first glance you may think, well, this looks alright, and indeed it does, if you like this kind of thing. In my opinion, aluminium has no place on a model steam engine unless it's painted, to cover up the fact that it's not aluminium, and also I really hate Allen caphead bolts in places where they are very visible. I'll run this engine to start with in slow motion, because it does actually run. The timing is quite good. I don't like the governor or any of the other fittings, and the fact that the engine is sat on an unpainted aluminium base, but this is one of the few engines from this first box that actually will run. Time now to move on to the next one. What have we here? Engine number 4, a small horizontal model steam engine, which upon close inspection shows that the parts are out of alignment. When I first tried this engine about 13 years ago, I think it was, it did run, but it doesn't anymore, so something slipped. But take a closer look at it. Nothing on this engine seems to line up. Maybe the cylinder does, but the crosshead doesn't, and then it gets worse as you move to the left-hand side. I'll move the engine into a different position and you can see it more clearly. Just look how far the parts are out of alignment. From my point of view, it is not worth the time and effort to rebuild an engine that's been made in this way. I'll move on to engine number 5. This is an incomplete, poorly machined, horizontal model steam engine with a bizarre colour scheme. I frequently get comments from viewers telling me that I'm always criticising other people's work. Well, I'm not really. I can only describe what I see. As an example, have a close look at this engine. The machining on the flywheel isn't good, and look at the port face, what's going on there? The closer I look at this engine, I think I know the reason why it wasn't finished. As this engine is both badly made and incomplete, it is not a viable proposition to rebuild it. I think I will put this engine into room 101. Engine number 6. A small oscillating cylinder steam engine suitable for powering a model steamboat. At this stage it is in need of adjustment. What hits me immediately about this engine is how many Allen cap head type bolts can you get on a model steam engine? I think this is the answer, far too many. Having said that though, this engine is quite well made, very robust, and I can see the problem. One of the cylinders is well out of adjustment and isn't putting any pressure on the port face at all. It could be a simple fix, but what would I do about the Allen cap head bolts? Change them for hexagon bolts, or fit studs and nuts, but all this takes time. I've seen this type of engine many times online, and they're okay, but I don't like the style of them really. I think the design was by a man called Basil Harley, and I've seen these in quite a lot of old steamboats. It's time now for engine number 7, a small twin-cylinder marine steam engine which runs but makes a lot of mechanical noise when doing so. The valve timing is not what it should be, and I think that the crankshaft is bent. I'll run it in slow motion. It does run okay, and it's fairly well made. Style-wise, maybe not so good. The 2 oiling valves on the top of the cylinder are not right. There are parts missing from them. And as I mentioned at the beginning, I think the crankshaft is not 100%. Here you can clearly see there are some parts missing from the valves. This engine could actually be worth rebuilding. Now it's time for engine number 8, a small single-cylinder marine steam engine suitable for powering a model boat. It runs and it is very rusty. In this clip, James was operating the air valve and it took me completely by surprise. Just watch this. I saw that coming. I shut my eyes. I thought, I've made a mistake here. I'll try again. This is take 2. This engine may be rusty and it doesn't look too good, but it is quite well made. This is one of the few engines in the box that I would consider rebuilding and make a short video series about doing it. But I'm not in any rush to start rebuilding nondescript small single-cylinder steam engines. And besides, all of these engines do not belong to me. Engine number 9, a small horizontally opposed twin-cylinder marine steam engine made using bar stock. Although quite well made, this engine is incomplete. The machining is good on this one, and when I turn it over by hand, it feels very smooth. However, the inlets and outlets are not there. And on this type of engine, the piping can be time-consuming, and it always looks very scruffy to me, because all of the piping required has to cross over. Once again, this is impractical for me to rebuild. So this one can go into room 101 also. Engine number 10, a small twin-cylinder marine steam engine from bar stock. This engine is simply made and currently does not run. Also, in my opinion, the design is a little bit wrong. The plate that supports the 2 cylinders is a bit thin. It could be that thin if the 2 cylinders were made from one block of brass. Even though I injected some oil into the pipe which feeds the cylinders, I can feel that there's something wrong with it. If you look carefully at this engine, the columns are made from brass bar and the plate is too thin, and the plate is actually bent, so the cylinders are no longer in line with the crankshaft. And that is it for part 1. 10 engines down and quite a few more to go. Stay safe, stay healthy, thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. and by using the playlists you can actually watch the videos back to back.